2 days passed before Samantha said anything. She acted normal at first. She kissed my cheek in the morning. She asked me what I wanted for dinner. She even wore that same perfume Ethan liked, like she didn't know I had walked in on her and my brother 2 nights ago. She was waiting for me to explode. But silence. Silence is scarier. She finally broke it over coffee. I was flipping through the newspaper like I always did, routine, peaceful, dangerous. "So, you okay?" she asked, cautiously. I looked up, calm. "Of course. Why wouldn't I be?" She blinked. "I don't know. You've just been quiet. Thinking about work," I said. "We've got that new hotel remodel coming up." She nodded, watching me. Right. She was testing me. I could see it in her eyes. She couldn't decide if I was stupid, broken, or dangerous. She'd find out soon enough. Ethan texted me that afternoon, "Hey bro, all good. You disappeared the other day." I didn't respond. An hour later, another message. "Sam said you seemed weird. We should grab a beer. Catch up." I still didn't respond. Instead, I sent both of them a calendar invite for a family dinner at a nice Italian restaurant. Just the 3 of us. Neutral ground. Public setting. Let them wonder what it was about. They both accepted. That was the thing about cheaters. They needed control. If I invited them, it meant I didn't know anything. Right? That's what they thought. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, my lawyer was putting the final nails in the coffin. Angela had filed all the pre-divorce documents. We had proof of infidelity, collusion, financial deceit, and premeditated legal manipulation. We even had screenshots of Samantha rehearsing false abuse claims with Ethan via text. It was all lined up, airtight. But I wasn't done. I needed them to squirm. To understand what it felt like to live under a cloud of doubt. To wonder if the walls were about to collapse. So I started to act suspiciously normal. I whistled while shaving. I made breakfast on Sunday. I bought Samantha flowers. She hated it. She couldn't figure out if I'd found out or gone insane. And Ethan. He started slipping. Called me twice in one day. Texted me at midnight with, "Hey man, you're not mad at me, are you? If I did something, just talk to me." I didn't reply. I was too busy orchestrating their downfall. The night of the dinner, they arrived together. Interesting. Samantha wore red lipstick, her war paint. Ethan looked tense, checking his phone like he expected a car to crash into the window. "Hey, man," he said, trying to play it cool as he slid into the booth across from me. "Glad we're doing this." Samantha sat beside him too close. "How's work?" I smiled. "Excellent. The new client signed a full year's contract. You 2 want wine?" They nodded. I ordered a bottle of something expensive in Italian, something that burned slow. "I wanted to talk," I said, swirling the glass. "About trust." They both stiffened. "Trust is like concrete," I continued. "Takes time to pour, seconds to crack, and forever to fix." Samantha smiled nervously. "Everything okay, Aaron? Depends." I leaned back. "You ever think about how people lie even when they don't have to?" Ethan swallowed. "I mean, yeah. You know what I've learned?" I said, looking at them both. "The best lies are dressed up like love. The worst betrayal. It wears your last name and calls you brother." The silence was loud. Ethan glanced at Samantha. She shifted. "Aaron, is this?" I pulled a folder from my bag, placed it on the table. Inside photos, screenshots, call logs, legal drafts, every receipt. Ethan paled. Samantha's jaw tightened. "Angela says this is enough to destroy both of you," I said evenly. "Legally. Financially. Socially." Samantha opened her mouth, then closed it. Ethan whispered, "You bugged us." "No," I said. "You gave it all willingly. You were arrogant enough to plan this in the cloud." "Thanks for the efficiency. What do you want?" Samantha asked finally. Her voice was cold, but not confident. That's when I leaned in, slow and calm. "I want you both to understand what it feels like to be ruined." I turned to Ethan. "You're going to send a written confession to the hospital board. Tell them everything. Your affair, your unethical involvement in a pending legal situation, how you planned to lie under oath. You won't lose your license, but you will lose your residency. And me." Samantha asked quietly. "You're going to sign a divorce settlement that gives you nothing. No alimony, no property. You walk away with what you brought in a box of lies and a burned future." "And if we don't?" Ethan challenged. I smiled. Then I go public. The recordings go viral. My lawyer makes this a case study. I have character witnesses, therapy notes proving you planned false abuse claims, and even your cousin is willing to testify. If you want scorched earth, I'll give you ashes. They were silent. Samantha's eyes were glossy. Ethan looked sick. I loved you, I said to them both. You could have taken anything from me. But instead you tried to make me the villain. You built a fantasy where I was the monster. But I'm not. I'm the storm. I stood. You've got 48 hours. Then I walked out, letting the door shut behind me like a gavel. The fallout began the next morning. I was sipping coffee on the balcony when my phone buzzed. It was a forwarded email from Angela. Subject: Confession Ethan Pierce. The message was exactly what I expected and wanted. To whom it may concern, I, Dr. Ethan Pierce, am writing to formally confess to an unethical personal relationship with the spouse of my brother, Aaron Pierce. This relationship began while I was living under his roof and receiving financial support from him. I understand this behavior violates the ethical standards expected of any medical professional, and I take full responsibility for the breach of trust it represents. I accept the consequences of my actions and am prepared to forfeit my residency at Brookline Medical Center if requested. Sincerely, Ethan Piercy. Angela followed up with a single line. Well played, Aaron. I didn't reply. I just stared out over the city, watching the sunlight fall over a skyline that suddenly looked cleaner. Ethan had folded. Samantha wouldn't be far behind. Sure enough, that evening, she came home shaking. I was sitting on the couch, flipping channels, when the front door slammed. She stormed in, eyes wild. You ruined his career? I didn't flinch. No, he ruined his career. I just handed him a pen and watched him sign his own execution. You think this makes you noble? No, I said. It makes me thorough. She paced, hands trembling. You're not the man I married. I looked at her, calm and bitter. Good. The man you married was a fool. This one learned not to trust people who smile while stabbing him. She swallowed, something like fear flickering in her expression. I stood. Have you reviewed the divorce agreement? She said nothing. Samantha, you have two choices. You sign and walk away quietly. Or I go nuclear. Full disclosure to your parents, our friends, your employer, everyone. I'll file suit for attempted fraud and defamation. I'll drag you down. You wouldn't, she hissed. I will, I said. Because unlike you, I have nothing left to lose. Her eyes filled, but I saw no regret. Only panic, guilt not from hurting me, but from being caught. I never meant to hurt you. Then you shouldn't have treated my heart like a pit stop. She stared at me, lips pressed in a tight line. I'll sign, she said at last. But you need to give me something. I raised an eyebrow. Like what? Time? She said. To leave with dignity. To control the story. I laughed. You gave up dignity in Ethan's sheets. But fine, you have 72 hours. After that, I let the wolves loose. She signed the papers 2 days later. Angela had everything filed within the week. Clean, legal, brutal. Samantha relinquished all claims to the house, the vehicles, and our shared assets. She tried to keep the dog. We didn't have kids. But even that was a no-go. I had vet records, proof of my soul care. He stayed with me. Ethan disappeared from the hospital roster by the end of the month. Rumor had it he tried to apply elsewhere, but word spread fast. No one wants a doctor who betrays blood and blurs boundaries. He moved in with a friend in Baltimore. Samantha didn't follow. Their love, built on shadows and lies, withered under the weight of exposure. Turns out, it's hard to hold hands when both are dripping with guilt. I didn't block either of them. I wanted them to see me rise. I started posting photos again. Me with new clients, travel snapshots, dinners with colleagues. Each one a postcard of a life they no longer had access to. Samantha sent one last message, weeks later. You're cold. You always were. Maybe that's why I strayed. I stared at the screen, then typed a single line. No. You strayed because you were weak. And now you're alone. I hit send. Then blocked her. But revenge wasn't just legal or emotional. It had to be complete. So I went one step further. Remember those fake abuse claims she was preparing with Ethan? I sent them to a family friend, who just happened to be a freelance journalist, one who owed me a favor. She wrote a think piece. When false abuse claims are weaponized. The quiet cruelty of character assassination. She never used Samantha's name, but people figured it out. Her employer found out. Her promotion was revoked. HR launched a culture review. She left the company quietly. Ethan and Samantha's betrayal wasn't just exposed. It was dissected, displayed, and dismantled. They wanted to rewrite my story. I made them footnote in mine instead. 6 months later, the house was quiet, but no longer haunted. Samantha's perfume no longer lingered in the hall. Ethan's extra toothbrush was long gone. The shadows they left behind had been scrubbed out with new paint, new furniture, new life. I didn't just survive them, I erased them. The headlines died down. The lawyer meetings ended. The whispers faded. But I was still standing. And I wasn't the same man. I started therapy again, this time not to prepare for courtroom lies, but to rebuild. My therapist, a quiet woman named Jordan, had a way of holding up mirrors I couldn't look away from. "You were married to the idea of her, not the reality of her," she said during one session. She was right. Samantha had become a symbol. Of family, of future, of safety. And Ethan, he had been more than a brother. He was the only family I had left after our parents passed. So what did it mean when your own blood chose betrayal? It meant you stopped bleeding for anyone who wouldn't bleed for you. I didn't date at first. People tried. Friends introduced me to someone who's not crazy. Promise. I smiled, thanked them, and passed. I needed space. Time to breathe. Time to understand what trust actually meant. Instead, I traveled, not to run, but to find the parts of me they tried to erase. I went to Iceland and stood beneath a glacier. Hiked in Chile. Ate pasta in a Tuscan village with no cell service. It was silent out there, and in the silence I found my own voice again. A better one. One that didn't need to scream to be heard. Back home, I opened a new firm, Pierce Design Studio. My name, my work, no compromises. It took off faster than I expected. Turns out, word of mouth from a wronged husband who came back swinging. Travels fast in high places. People respected quiet strength. And I delivered. We got corporate contracts, 5-star hotel deals, even some government work. I built a team that wasn't just skilled, they were loyal. I picked each one carefully. I wasn't letting snakes through the door ever again. I ran into Ethan one day. It was accidental. A conference in DC. I was speaking about sustainable design. He was there, not as a guest, but catering, serving drinks in a rented tux. Our eyes met across the room. He froze. I didn't. I walked right up to him, calm, composed. He opened his mouth. Probably to explain, to beg, to justify. I cut him off, pour the drink, and walk away. His hand shook as he filled my glass. Then I leaned in, just enough for only him to hear. "You traded blood for betrayal. This is what it bought you." And I walked away. Samantha tried to reach out too. An email, then a handwritten letter. She said she missed me, that she didn't recognize herself anymore, that she'd made mistakes. She ended the letter with, "I still dream about you." I sent it back. Unopened. Marked return to sender. Some things are better left unread. Like apologies that come after the fire, when the house is already ash. But not all things were bitter. One morning, while setting up for a gallery launch, I met her, Lena. She wasn't dramatic or needy. She didn't wear masks. She was blunt, brilliant, and completely uninterested in who I used to be. "You're that guy from the article, right?" she asked on our second date. I nodded, a little wary. She smirked. "Good. I like men who know how to finish things." We didn't rush. We grew. She saw my scars and didn't try to fix them. Just held them gently. And for the first time in years, I didn't flinch when someone touched what hurt. The final twist. A year to the day after the divorce was finalized, I launched a scholarship fund. The Second Chances Grant. For students who had lost everything to family betrayal, financial abuse, or personal collapse. I funded it with the money I once thought would build a family with Samantha. Now, it built futures without her. When asked why I did it, I gave a simple answer. Because sometimes, when the people who should protect you destroy you, you need help learning how to build your own damn castle. Ethan now lives in a studio apartment in Baltimore, working odd jobs. Samantha moved in with an aunt, unemployed and friendless. Turns out cheating doesn't pay, but it collects interest. As for me, I'm thriving. And not because I got revenge, but because I outlived their version of me, the broken man. the idiot husband, the passive brother. I buried them all. Now I'm Aaron Pierce. Architect, survivor, storm. And I don't forget, because revenge isn't fire, it's architecture. You build it, brick by brick, quietly, thoroughly, until one day, the ones who tried to bury you realize you were just laying the foundation. The end.